I believe. My days are all mixed up on holidays, uh, especially holidays that fall near or on a weekend. And then I'm just out of sync. I never know exactly what day it is. But I do know it's the 28th because I'm staring at my computer. Uh, 23rd, and the year is winding down, just about over. Makes me wonder, is anyone setting New Year's resolutions? I talked a bit about that yesterday. Um, my low-ish opinion of resolutions, I think stemming from the time when I would work out in a gym and I worked in a gym, and I would see them flooded all of January and the first, not even all of January, towards the beginning and then near the end, and by February it was over, and it was the same people you saw all the time. Maybe there would be one or two people that would stick it out for a few extra months. Maybe there'd be that outlier who would be there for the duration. And as a meditation teacher, I am often approached at the beginning of the year, meditation and breath work. Um, this is the year I'm going to learn to meditate. This is the year I'm going to manage my stress. I'm going to feel better, and I want to be on a what could be considered a spiritual path. And either they never really get started, or a month or two later, I'm in contact to check in to see how the meditation is going, and they tell me they haven't been keeping up. They mean to, it just slips away, and there it goes. It's done. You got to give your energy to that which you would like to see in the world. The famous quote from Gandhi, "Be the change you want to see," was not, "It might happen." See if you like it, and see if you like the change, and then commit to it. That was not Gandhi's attitude. That was not Gandhi's energy. And here is a man who was a couple of things going against him. One, he was facing off against the British Empire at the time, um, perhaps the most powerful empire in the world or close to it. And two, he was at the start of his life and through his early adult years a fairly meek, unassuming individual without any real um, strong leaning towards social justice or change or any type of political um, thoughts. Just someone who was sort of getting by. And if he got by doing okay, all the happier, all the better. Until, and we've talked about this before, he was thrown off a train in a rainstorm as he was living in South Africa representing a, um, I forget what type of company. And he was thrown off the train for being the wrong color, which is amazing in South Africa, being brown. And that was considered the wrong color to be on that part of the train. Let's hope we've come far. Let's hope. If not, you know, we obviously still have work to do in all regards of social justice. Anyway, for whatever reason, that lit a fuse. And Gandhi got angry, but he didn't let that anger consume him. He used it as fuel, and he uses it as fuel for a great change. And in that, he also inspired Dr. Martin Luther King, who brought about great change as well. When Dr. King said, when he wrote his famous letter um, from the jail in Birmingham, and then when he talked about his having a dream, he didn't just say, "I have a dream and maybe one day it will be fulfilled." He had the energy to work for it. He had the intention to work for it. That's what we need for little and small things. And I think maybe most especially the little things, because it's little things that add up to the larger changes. Individual droplets make the ocean. Without each drop, there is no ocean, there's no wave. So when we make these little individual intents and we work with them and stick with them, it builds power. And with that power, we start looking at bigger things that we'd like to accomplish. Our friend Destiny Forever Walks, PhD, is here. And she's saying, hello, Eric. How are you today? I'm here listening. I'm doing pretty well. I'm talking once again about Gandhi, about Dr. Martin Luther King, but hopefully tying it to the point of the resolutions that we set this time of year. And as I was saying, I'm not a big fan of resolutions. I'm more of a fan of setting intents and working with that energy, seeing what we can accomplish. So what I see is, again, people reaching out for me. I want to learn meditation. I want to learn breath work, and then just simply not sticking with it. I don't know as I have a solution for that. People ask me how I do it. I don't have an answer for that either. Because I want to, because I love it, because I did it and I fell in love with it. That's all I can say. Is it's not so much about discipline. Discipline works for short periods of time. Who knows what that length is for each person? For some people, it might be 20 years. For some, it might be a year. For others, it might be a day. Discipline is a great thing to have, and it can lead to great accomplishments, but it can be a hard thing to cultivate. What I like to do, fall in love with something. Be a Bhakti yoga. Bhakti is the yoga of devotion. Devote yourself to something. Surrender yourself to something. When that's the whole, one of the niyamas, one of the personal observances in yoga is surrendering to something larger. It's also the path of AA, one of the 12 steps. We surrender to something larger than ourselves. When you do that, there's greater energy than our own individual energy alone can accomplish. Now we're no longer alone in what we're trying to do. We have the entire universe conspiring to come to our aid. Destiny says, two great legends to talk about. They are, and I find that they inspire me in so many ways that I can tie so many examples to their teachings and to their lives so easily. Such powerful figures. And in the case of Gandhi, here's this, a little man, very few possessions. There's a famous photo of his possessions. There's a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. There are his prayer beads. There, his glasses, and of course his robe. And I believe that's about it. With those few possessions, he literally changed the world. And again, he helped inspire Dr. Martin Luther King, who further changed the world. Don't have any doubt, never have any doubt, what you can accomplish with just a few things. Most of which being your heart. Gandhi was in love with truth. He devoted his life for truth. The title of his autobiography is my experiment, or my great experiment with truth. Through looking for and living with what he found to be true, he was able to accomplish great things. It's the same thing we have to do. The little things in our lives: wake up, meditate, do some breath work, do some yoga, get out in nature. But it cultivates this greater power. And then we start using that energy that we gather, and we start looking around and we start thinking, what do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish? Maybe we don't even think about it that way. I don't really so much think in terms of what I can accomplish. It's just this ever great expansion, more things being included into the enthusiasm of life, the things that I love to do. YouTube quickly became a part of that. Expanding my YouTube channel isn't a sense of accomplishment, it is more just a natural outpouring of something that I love. I want the audience to grow because I like devoting myself to this. I like having these conversations. I like sharing what I write on YouTube. I love doing burpees with my friends. I think if it was a goal, or a goal alone, I should say, I might lose energy because then it would become that type of discipline of day in, day out, doing the same old thing, which I'm okay with. But I'd much rather fall in love with the stuff that I do and look forward to it every day, which I do. I'm up, I've mentioned before, I'm up every day at 3 a.m. First thing, I'm in my first yoga posture of the day, which is easy pose, Sukhasana, and I'm sitting in meditation. 20 minutes, half an hour. I'm doing my breath work right before, and then I'm up, I'm doing yoga, and then I'm writing, I'm drinking coffee, and then I'm out in nature. And guess what? It's still, by that time, it still isn't even 5 a.m. And then it's my workout, and then the details of my day. Um, Destiny says, I like that. Give yourself to something will take your focus off self. And you know what? It perfectly said, Destiny, because when we're doing something just for the self, it has limited capacity because the self itself is limited in capacity. But when we tie it to spirit, spirit is the infinite and it has no limits. Who knows what big things life has in store for us, that we've limited ourselves because we ask for $1,000,000. Maybe the universe had $1 billion in mind, or maybe something beyond money. I don't know. I'm spitballing these things. But the self is limited by definition. It's the ego. It has a set duration. Spirit is eternal. Spirit is infinite. Because spirit is the universe itself. And as we've talked about, Destiny and I, there is no separation between the universe and us, or us and the universe. One thing, the universe is expressing itself as consciousness through the pinpoint of us, you and I. We're pinpoints in eternity. Dr. or Joel Goldstein, I believe it was Joel Goldstein. I haven't read him in decades. He wrote a wonderful book with a perfect title, a great, great metaphor, that we are parentheses in eternity. Just picture that. I'm going to do my parenthesis. Parenthesis. On this side and in between is eternity, the infinite. Parentheses just means a sort of a gateless gate, as they might say in Zen. A little blink of time that we exist as a self, as an identity, and then in a blink of an eye, we are back to eternity. We are back to the infinite. We can make the case for reincarnation or rebirth with that, but we don't have to. If it's just one life we live, it's worth living just this one life. It doesn't mean that as life itself we're done. It just means as this limited self, we are done. Buddhism, Hinduism, even some forms of Christianity early on talked about rebirth and reincarnation. As Eleanor Roosevelt said, it's no greater a surprise to be born twice than it is once. So, let's see. Destiny says, absolutely. Fall in love with something you love doing. Yes, Eric, you love doing burpees and reading, writing for us to enjoy. Thank you. And I do hope people enjoy them. Your suggestion yesterday, yesterday or the day before, on the 15-second shorts already worked wonders. Um, just putting a few out, and I got several hundred views. Uh, Subscribers went up. The challenge is going through my writing and finding things that might fit within 15 seconds, and then things that fit within a minute. One of the things I was talking to Milka about um, during our walk this morning is, with more subscribers, also preparing myself, something you and I have talked about before. Um, there will always be someone attracted to your energy of creativity, your energy of doing something that you love to do, who, for whatever reason, um, wants to throw in a little rain on that, wants to put their own comment to sort of curtail your enthusiasm, which isn't a big thing at all. But it just goes to show that you can't take any of it personally, which also includes praise, by the way. I'm obviously not immune to praise. Who is? But honestly, the best writing that I do, I can't lay, I can't take credit for, because it's received, it's inspired. How do you take credit for something that's inspired? Because it exists out there, and for whatever reason, I was ready and I was willing and I was receptive, and the words came to me, and I was there at my keyboards and I put it down. I had so little to do with it. So when I get credit for writing something that someone likes, wonderful. Thank you. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. Um, but really, it's the absence of an author, absence of a writer, just writing itself. They say in the Tao Te Ching or in the Bhagavad Gita, there is no doer, there is no writer, there's just writing. Um, I'm the fortunate filter that gets to receive it and then arrange it on a piece of paper, and then come here on YouTube and read a 15-second snippet. That's how to be creative. Don't seek to be creative. Just open yourself up to creativity itself. It's there. It's present. And it's the easiest thing in the world to do when you know to do it. When it isn't, then you're butting your head up against this wall of writer's block or creative block or 1,000 other things. Or, as we might say in Taoism, the 10,000 things always distracting us coming up. I can't write now. I got to do my taxes. I can't write now. I forgot to pack lunches, or there's always something. And then we sit down and write, and all of a sudden we just feel uninspired, or I can't think of anything to write about. I can't think of anything to paint. I can't think of anything to sculpt. There's always something. That's because we're trying to create with the little self, with the ego. Everything has to be perfect. My desk has to be arranged just so. The sunlight has to be coming through the window in just the right angle. I have to have coffee in my favorite cup. Whatever. Those are the little details that prevent us from opening ourselves, from abandoning the ego. And it scares us, because the ego is all we know. It's all we realize. It's all we realize until we see beyond it. And once we do, man, why would I want to write from the ego perspective? It would be all about me. It would be what George Harrison sang about. I, me, mine. It would be boring as hell. I'm not a very interesting person, despite what I might tell you. However, the things that are accomplished through me by spirit never cease to fascinate me. And they don't have to fascinate anyone else. They fascinate me. That there are infinite number of ways that nature can be expressed, and I get to be part of it. I get to be a participant, a direct participant in the expression of the entire universe. And you do too. Destiny says, that is great to hear. Those 15-second shorts can be powerful and do wonders for your channel. Even adding some YouTube 15-second music to it even more better. Uh, you have to do music, do your music over. We have, sorry, you have to do your music over music. I'm not sure would it drown me out if I'm reading something. So, like I noticed with a lot of your um, treadmill dancing videos and your music, that you're not really talking, so you don't have to worry about um, playing the music. But all of my shorts are of me reading, and I don't know. For one, I don't know if I can speak loud enough uh, over the music, and if it would cancel the effects out. So I thought about that, and also it would have to be sort of um, music that would blend itself to my style of writing, something softer, classical music, maybe. Definitely, there's tons of things to experiment with that I didn't even know. Um, I still haven't even, I've never edited a video. Lots of stuff that I simply don't know how to do. And I also lack curiosity in figuring out how to do it. Um, I am always slightly reluctant to start adding things in that take away from my objective of what I love to do. Milka would back that up quite a bit. Um, that, like when I was ultra running, I kept all my other training to a minimum. I still wanted to strength train. I did tons of kettlebell stuff, but the focus was on ultra running. So I purposely lost a lot of muscle so I would be lighter, so I can carry on a greater distance, so I would need less fuel. Um, and it paid off with ultra running success. Same with other things that I participated in. I'm always reluctant to change things with my writing because I have um, my writing flows well. So that that could be a limit on my part. Maybe I need to experiment more. As probably, um, it's probably true, and I think we all do in a certain way. Just keep expanding, expanding, expanding. Not in any sense of having to, but it's our natural function. It's the natural function of the universe to keep expanding. There's no limit to our own personal creativity, our own personal expansion. So, if, with it not being a limit, why set an imaginary one and think that we have to stick with it? If Gandhi let himself be consumed by his anger and didn't channel it to accomplish something, he would have continued being an ineffectual lawyer in South Africa and never accomplished anything great. Instead, he used anger. That's the whole basis of Tantra, is channeling the base energy of creativity, of desire, and rising it up using the chakra system as an example, starting with the base layer and rising it up through the spine, through the last chakra, or the sixth chakra, and there's actually a seventh, absolute bliss that exists above us. So we channel the base energy and we work with the breath, we work with that energy, and we create something larger than the appearance of our limited selves. So, all right, guys. I'm going to keep it. We're at coming up on the 25-minute mark. I've been doing my best to keep it around the 30-minute mark. Even my burpee workout videos, I've shortened quite a bit. Um, of course, I'm doing things a little differently in my training right now, keeping things on a minimalist point. For we'll see how long that lasts. Um, so I will wind this up close to the 30-minute mark. Destiny says, Eric, I'm not a computer whiz either. I don't edit or even do fancy art design. I don't understand all that. No, neither do I. Um, so I just do what I know and let the divine creator, God, put his work on it. And it's working for you. And that's the way to do it. I couldn't reiterate that enough. Surrender, surrender, surrender. Um, we ourselves are always limited in our approach, no matter how big we think that might be. Someone might say, I built an empire. How small is that? In your view, it's quite large. In the view of the universe and the view of the infinite, it's just a speck. So trade your view for an infinite view and surrender and see what the universe accomplishes through you. As Destiny says, let the divine creator do the work. There is no doer. You're not the doer. Get rid of the concept of a doer, and everything gets done in ways more beautiful and wonderful than we can possibly imagine. I have limited myself in so many ways, believing that I have to do it. If I can get out of my way, beautiful things happen. And I often do get out of my way now. Years of meditation, years of breath work, years of yoga, and at my age, I'm surrendering more and more and more and more. That last great surrender, losing my business, losing my father, giving it away before it's taken away, for me is the way to do it. It's not that I gave up on my father, never. It's not that I gave up on my business. It was seeing that I couldn't hold on to some things. I couldn't hold on to my father. He was dying from congestive heart failure. However, I could pour my heart and my love and my soul into taking care of him. And that freed me, because that the suffering of, oh my God, I'm going to lose the person most important to me, was gone. Now it was just the action of care, the action of caring. It's the same in my relationship with Milka after our divorce. Instead of thinking it's over, again, I've lost someone dear, close to me. Instead of that, it was, so what's it going to be now? How is it going to express itself? We clearly love each other, but we were divorced. How is that love going to be expressed now? How is love for my father going to be expressed now that his body has surrendered? I watched my mother go through that in her long battle with Alzheimer's, losing parts of her identity every single day. And the shock on her face at first, and then it just settled into this letting go and letting go and letting go. And she became pure grace in that letting go. In the end, that's all we can do. We're not going to take a single thing with us. Not one. If we learn to let go now, we're free. We're nothing but creativity itself. So Destiny says, thanks, Eric. Great discussion. You always give so much that I leave you with a 20-chapter book. Thanks for your knowledge and wisdom. Thank you. And, a lot of the things that I might say are inspired by the company I keep, including you, most importantly you, when we have these discussions, because you help me trigger these thoughts that I might not have thought without you. So it's great having that type of backup, that type of team, that type of people working together, which is why I'm always happy to share your stuff, because you're putting such good energy out there, helpful. The things that you're putting out there are meant to inspire people, restore people, aid people, help people, build people up. How can you not support that? And that makes me think about, some of the comments that both you and I have talked about receiving, that there might be a single person who feels better by trying to tear someone down. It makes little sense to me, except for the fact, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. We'll get into that on another discussion. We'll wrap things up now. Destiny, thank you very much. Appreciate all the company, all the talks that we have. Um, Destiny says, likewise, my friend, we are all in this together. We are. More so, we're all together. One thing, one expression. Very much appreciate the company. Thank you guys. Take care.